Meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. This meeting is now called to order. May we please have a roll call vote? Secretary Fox.
Dr. Turner.
Present.
Mr. Walker.
Not here.
Ms. Heinrich.
Present.
Dr. Plow. Here. Ms. Angie Smith. Here. President Wing.
Here.
And myself, Nicole Fox.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We are now ready to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a packed house today. Everybody here for the invigorating board meeting, huh? Welcome to those of you who are here to recognize our fall athletes. I will turn it over to Dr. Coffin.
Thank you, President Weems. I would now like to invite Ms. Allison Robinson, our Director of School Safety and Athletics, to the podium to recognize our fall 2024 high school athletes.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for having me here tonight. Dr. Coffin as well. I'm excited, as always, to get to come and represent Farmington Athletics this evening. We had a great fall season. It's still going for a few of our athletes, so our swimmers are preparing for state, so some of them are not here tonight. We have a full banquet, unfortunately, so some people couldn't make it, and some kids are moving right into winter sports. So we got a whole host of things going on. So thank you for coming tonight and taking time out of your busy day to be here. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the family, friends, everybody that we know got our students to practice, got them to competitions, supported them, and helped them on their journey to being a student athlete. So thank you for your support. And this evening we have some great athletes to recognize. The way that it's going to go, I'm going to call up in just a second Mr. Mike Cahill, who's the athletic coordinator for Farmington High. We will go through each of our sports. We'll have the coach come up if they're there. There's a couple that couldn't make it tonight. We'll have our coaches come up, and then we'll ask for all the students that are present on the team to come up, and then we'll go through all of our awards. We will make sure after every sport that we give a quick 30 seconds for a picture. So athletes, please, stand up there awkwardly holding your certificate. Parents, feel free to get out and take a picture. No shame. And then when we are done with all of the awards, I believe usually there's a couple of minutes where if people want to leave, then they can leave after that. You're welcome to stay for the board meeting, but we prefer, if you can, to stay for the whole awards portion. Okay? So thank you again for coming. I'm happy to celebrate everybody tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Mr. Michael Cahill.
Well, the mic's not on, so it's...
I'm loud.
Testing. All right, we're good.
Go.
All right. Yes, thank you for having us, as always. We did have an exciting fall season at Farmington High School. Some of the highlights are cross-country athletes. We had athletes from both the boys and girls teams who qualified for the state finals. Our football team won our first playoff game in 5 years and actually had the opportunity to host a second-round playoff game. We won't talk about how that one went, but it was a good opportunity to host. Soccer won the Blue Division championship in the OAA, and volleyball won their first-round district game and went toe-to-toe with the number one team in the state afterwards and competed. So it was a heck of a year. We had a heck of a season. We had a lot of other athletes that you'll meet tonight who are all academic and all league. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to celebrate these wonderful student athletes. First up, I'd like to invite Jordan Arnold up to represent cross country.
PowerPoint, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're good. Yep, you're first. I think you have 2 slides.
2 or 3. All right, good evening. I'm a PE teacher, so I can project my voice pretty well. So our cross-country team had a fabulous season this year. On the boys' side, going back a couple of seasons, we lost a lot of really good senior boys. We were a little bit up in the air of where we would end up. The last couple of years, we really had a lot of leadership, team leadership, rising up from our younger underclassmen that really showed this year. So on the boys' side, we had a lot of really good stuff. OAA All-League, a couple of our top boys, Ben Parrott and Devin Lau, both achieved OAA All-League honors, which was very nice improvements from them both. And then all Oakland County, Ben Parrott, and then also MHSAA state finalists. So Ben qualified as an individual, which in cross country is not very easy to do. Do you want them coming up now or later?
Sure, yeah.
So since we're talking about him, Ben, come on up. We can give his certificate now. So Devin couldn't make it tonight, but we will give him his flowers when we see him tomorrow at school. And then on the girls' side, we've had some very good consistency across the board. So this is our third year in a row that our girls have qualified as a team for the state finals, which is an amazing accomplishment to do. And we were telling them, you know, we go against all these teams that are winning multiple state titles, or maybe they're going every year. But if you look broadly across the state, going 3 years in a row is no small feat. So we really, really are proud of the accomplishment that they've had. As a team, when we talk about student athletes, they really, really excelled at the student part as well as the athlete. So academic all-state for the entire team. You have to have a 3.5 GPA in the state and compete at state finals. Our girls team had a 3.8 cumulative GPA across the board. So that was very impressive on that end. And individually, who is here tonight, individually academic all-state, Caitlin Parrish, who's a sophomore who had a 4.0 GPA and competed at the state finals. So that was very good as well. Yep. So Caitlin, come on up. And then running down the list, OAA All-League, a couple of them. So Catherine Steele could not be here tonight, but she was one that was All-League. And then who is here tonight? I don't know, Molly's in the back. She's going to come on up. Molly was All-League on top of some other honors we'll talk about in a second. Kira Magner was also OAA All-League, so you guys can start coming up too. Caitlin's already up here. She was also OAA All-League, which means they were top 15 at our league championship finals. Yeah. And really what we're most proud of, again, is that consistency. So 3 years in a row, and we told them at our banquet, it's not easy. A couple years ago, we were, I believe, 13th at the state finals. And then last year, we were 23rd, and then this year, we were 20th overall. So we're consistently a top 20 program in the state. So I'm super proud of our kids academically and athletically. A couple others to mention that are here that I'm going to have come on up as well, that were part of that state finalist team. Abby Spencer, Victoria McDougall, and Alex Eichmann. Come on up. And as they're getting their things, just one more final thing that I want to say about these kids is I haven't been on staff forever. And, you know, I didn't really get into cross country until I was kind of coaching and involved with coaching. I didn't run it in high school personally. And I told them at our banquet to see them really excel in these different ways, academically, athletically, and really grow as people is really, really cool to see. So above all, of course, it's nice to be able to have success and go to state finals. And we were runner-up in our league this year and all those things. But to see them grow as people and as students, I mean, a 3.8 GPA for the girls across the board, multiple 4.0s. I know on the guys' side we had some really good all-academic honors, both regionally, league-wide, and in the school. So I'm very proud of them, and I'm hoping that our success will continue if they keep doing the work, which I think that they will. So our cross-country team for this year.
Parents who want to take some pictures, this is an opportunity if you want to quickly take some pictures.
All right, Mike.
I would also like to just make mention that we have about 10 to 12 seats here in the front. This is not the classroom. This is not church. You can sit in the front and you can leave. So you can still leave whenever you like. It's probably the best picture-taking position if you want to get your seat. Come on down to the front row.
No, you didn't say church.
Okay, are there any, by chance, Farmington High School football players here? They have their banquet tonight, so I'm expecting probably not. Okay, well, we'd like to honor them anyway, if y'all are willing. So, do we have or just read them off? So, like I said, that we won our first playoff game in 5 years at Farmington High this year, so that was really exciting. And we have, would like to recognize our all-league Blue Division players, Trenton Darden, Herschel McCormick-Reamer, Mark White, John Howell, Brady Petrucia, Miles Smith, and Daniel Vukai. All-region was John Howell, and academic all-state, Brady Petrucia. And so, shout out to our Farmington football team. Okay. Representing the boys soccer team, we have assistant coach Valen Jokai.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Valen Jokai. I'm the assistant varsity coach for the boys. Unfortunately, Coach Russell couldn't make it tonight. He's recovering from a knee replacement surgery, so just pray for him and his fast recovery. But keep it brief. I could talk about these boys all night, but they're honestly an amazing team. And this is my second year coaching, and it's been a blessing coaching them. As you can see, as a team, we got academic all-state, which is truly a testament to how not only how hardworking they are in the classroom, but on the field as well. And to keep it brief, we have our academic all-state winners, Javaj Algassundurum. If you want to come up.
There, come on up.
We got the 2 team awards. Tyler Exline, who's not here, I don't think, but he was also taking college courses throughout the year, so a true testament to his ability in the classroom and on the field. Ben Hansen, also not here.
Okay.
Luke Morden, also not here. Nadim Nabulsi, Bobby Poisson or Robert Poisson, Alex Barogue, Lucas Ryder, and Braden Shea. And Ranveer Singh as well. And just to add a touch onto the boys' season, they ended up winning the city championship and also the OA Blue Division. So it truly shows how hardworking these boys are, both in the classroom and on the field as well. So congratulations to the boys.
Forgot to mention the city championship. That's key. Bad job by me. All right. Okay. Next up, we have girls swim and dive. I don't believe coach is here unless he came in late. Okay. They're still competing and prepping for the state meet as well. So they had another strong season, and our OA All-League recipients were Annika Cho, Sydney Visser, and Ellie Somerton. Oh, Ellie Somerton's here. That's right. I saw that. Ellie, come on up. And our OAA White Senior Award winner is Annika Cho. So Ellie, stand there and awkwardly by yourself and take some pictures. Good. All right.
Well done.
All right. Well done. Next up with tennis, I'd like to call up our coach, Tom Koskowski. TK.
Thank you, everyone. Before I get started with the team, I want to give a shout out to Allison and to Mike, who support the team all season long, and you guys have been fantastic, and we really appreciate you guys. I also want to give a shout out to my competition, North Farmington. They had a great season and won the regional this year, so congratulations to Andre Dupree and his team. But I'm here to recognize the Farmington High School tennis team, and I have a couple of my boys here. I'm going to have you guys come on up. Where's Aiden? There he is. Come on up, and Shane and Sam. As you can see, that the team won academic all-state team for the is it the 18th? Oh, Stajan's here too. Awesome. For the 18th year in a row, they've made academic all-state. We got some smart kids. Individually, Mahaksh, Jinnah, Akshay Kumar, Shane Mauer, and Sajin. Sajin's on the end there. Shane is next to him. The two tallest guys. They got they got individual academic all-state. Sajin 3.8 grade point, and Shane is 4.0. We had 3 4.0s, seniors. Good job for that. And then before we stop and take the pictures, I just want to recognize Sohan Patello, who's not here today, but he was named to the all OAA team. So I wanted him to be recognized for that. He's also our #1 player, so he's our top dog. And that's the team. Thank you. I've got some.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what, I'll give it to you guys for something. Let's just take a quick picture. All right, thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, TK. Okay, last but not least, we have the Farmington girls volleyball team. They have their banquet tonight as well, unfortunately. So they're not, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody here? Okay. So yeah, the volleyball team really grew. We had a first-year head coach, and it was really fun watching them grow over the course of the year. Unfortunately, we always get stuck with Mercy in the districts, and they are loaded every year, and so we got them in the second round this year, which is great. And we competed. Like I was so proud of them. Told them that afterwards that they really should have been proud of themselves. It was they lost, but they belonged on the court with them, and they competed, and they never gave up, and it was really fun to watch. So I'm a huge volleyball fan. So I'm really proud of them. So our recipients of awards this year for the volleyball team: all conference first team Kennedy Williams and Kate Donahue. Then all conference honorable mention Alexandria Lincourt and Amelia Sophia. So Farmington volleyball. There we go. Okay, that's a wrap for Farmington Falcons fall season. See you in the winter. All right.
Thank you. At this point, we'd like to bring up Miss Stacy Punzel, who's the athletic coordinator at North Farmington High School.
All right, good evening, and thank you for having us. I always feel, next time I want to go first. I always feel like I have to one-up Mike. So here we go. Here is North Farmington's accomplishments, and we had a lot of them this season. I'm going to start with cross country. We had an individual state qualifier. One of our runners placed third in the regional. I'm going to let the coach talk more about her. Our tennis team was regional champions. This is the third straight year that they qualified for the state meet, and we had one individual state champion as well. So we'll talk specifics as the coaches come up. In volleyball, our volleyball team was the white division champions. They did tie with another two teams, but they're white division champions. And they did lose in the district finals to a team that's playing the regional finals tonight. So kudos to them. Football was blue division champions with a 6-0 record, and we hosted a first-round playoff game, first time in a long time, so that was exciting. Our boys soccer played in the district finals, and it had a lot of evening events this fall. So they had a fabulous season, and swim is still going. We have several state qualifiers and a diver as well. So they're still working. I think they have a team dinner tonight. So our first, what am I touching? Keyboard? Down here? Okay. All right, so our first coach that we're going to call up tonight is John Reed. Come on up, John.
Thanks for having me tonight. This is very exciting. We're just really proud of the program that we're creating at North Farmington High School. It's been fantastic. When Coach Lamorato, myself, and Coach Stamboulian about 6 years ago got together, and we had about 2 girls on the team and about 4 boys. And this year, I think we had about 35 total athletes out for the team, which is quite good. We're growing and we're doing very well. Our girls. I like this list, it's perfect. Our girls were third in the lead and our boys were fifth. And a couple of students that we want to honor would be Sarah Stein was a junior and she made all league for the blue division, which is really great. Cora Louis, who is, I don't believe is here tonight, she was third place in the regional championships, and she made academic all-state because she competed in the state championships, and she had a 3.97 grade point average, which is really something. She also was the league champion in Division II in the blue division, which is awesome, and a state finalist. Also, two of our athletes, in not only Cora, but Alex Hamilton is here tonight. He was academic all-state with a 4.1 grade point average. He was third place in the OAA Blue Division All-League Championships, which is really outstanding. And he's just a great, wonderful kid, and he's one of the major reasons I keep showing up to do this pretty cool job. So really proud of the kids at North Farmington, and its cross-country is alive and well in the city of Farmington, and we're very happy about that. So thank you very much.
All right, our next sport is football, and Coach John Herstein is here to talk about his team.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the board and to our athletic department for having us here tonight. It's a great honor for our students and the our student athletes. So I'll start off with, first of all, we were league champs this year. We have a couple members of that team there. We'll have them come up at the end, but we'll start off with the OA Blue All-League people. Yep. Duke Blanche earned all-league honors as a running back, and he's a senior. Come on up, Duke, if you're here. And then we can just do applause at the end. Yeah. All right, Terrence James earned all league honors as a quarterback. He's a junior. Come on up, Terrence. I saw you back there. Yep. Christian Scott earned all league honors. Got my notes here. Christian Scott earned all league honors as a defensive back. He's another senior. Dominic Washington, another senior, earning all league honors as a linebacker. Brendan Rice, another senior, earning all league honors as a defensive tackle. Micah Reddick, earning all league honors as an offensive tackle. He's a senior. Come on up, Micah. A.J. Wilson, senior, defensive tackle, all league honors. Leland Petaway, senior, all league honors as an offensive lineman. And Lawrence Woodley earned all league honors as an athlete. He's a senior also. Stay up here, guys. Okay. Another member of our all-league OA championship team is Chase Penn. He's in the crowd. Come on up, Chase. And the last couple of things I'll recognize, and these guys, as a matter of fact, don't even know that they've made all region, and that puts them up for all state. That voting will be taking place over the course of the next week and a half, going into the state finals. But all region and earning that was A.J. Wilson, Dominic Washington, Duke Blanche, and Brendan Rice, which, like I said, makes them one of the best in the region, consisting of about 32 teams. So, myself, like I told the guys, coach of the year, this and that, that comes from great kids and great assistant coaches that we're very fortunate to have at North Farmington. So congratulations, guys, and congratulations to all the athletes and their honors this past fall.
You don't have your other. All right, before we take a picture, I just wanted to announce that Coach Herstein is also the Blue Division Coach of the Year. Congratulations, Coach. right, the next team we have tonight, he went really fast on me. The next team we have tonight is boys soccer, and Coach Danny is here tonight. I saw him somewhere. There he is. He's coming up here. You can flip through. Okay. Okay. No, just go through your record. Go through your record, your accomplishments, and then read down the screen. Okay.
Hello, I'm Danny Hannes. I'm the assistant coach for the girls and boys varsity soccer teams. This will be my third year doing this, and I enjoy it more than anything. So, first things first, Coach Herstein, we practice alongside each other all the time, and when I went to North, he was always there taking care of the kids. And I know he's not going to talk about himself, but he's definitely deserving of Coach of the Year for the Blue. So go ahead and give it a 2 years ago, we, as a soccer team, were 2-13-2, which is pretty poor. And last year we were 11-7, which is significant improvement, which is definitely a big part of our two captains who are here today, Garrett and Damon. This year we went 9-10-1. Unfortunately, losing to Farmington was unfortunate, but there's improvement from there, and our players here on the screen here and on the next screen definitely play a huge role in that. And so to start off, academic all-state for soccer, you have to have 3.3 grade point average overall as a team to earn academic all-state. And in order to get academic all-state for individual, you have to have a 3.5. So all these players here, Audit, Kareem, Jonah, Sully, Luke, Dava, Nolan, Jason, Philip, Cloud, Ale, and Drin, they all had 3.5s or higher. I don't think any of them are here. If you are, you can come up here. But yeah. So, and I know, especially Philip and Ale, they're taking their college courses that missing some practices and stuff, so they can focus on that. And Russ works alongside of them every single day in the school, and I know when they come out practice and working hard, and there's not a doubt that they're putting in the same effort in the classroom as well. So that's our all-state as a team and individual. Garrett, if you want to go ahead and come on up here. So Garrett. Garrett is named one of our captains. He was a junior this year, so he's got another year coming, obviously. All district was voted on by coaches and ourselves as well. So as a junior, that's a great honor to earn, taking care of the defense back there as well. And the other two alongside him are Dava and Jalen. Jalen was borrowed from a school down the street and has become one of our more talented defenders and has earned himself all district. And Dava as well, he just joined our team this year as a junior. So those three juniors right there show that we have a good core coming up and a young team that's going to be just as good next year. And is Damon still here? Come on up here, please. Damon. Damon is also one of our captains as a junior. He has his All-State Honorable Mention Award. I'm going to go a little bit on this because I think it's important to note how impressive this is, especially as a junior. How soccer works, you get a dream team, which takes all 4 divisions and takes the 11 best players, and then each division has 4 teams. There's 4 all-state teams. There's the top 3 teams, which have about 18 players, and then the honorable mentions are the people who unfortunately weren't there, but that puts Damon still in the top, out of about 4,000 Division I soccer players, he's in about the top 120 of those players in the state of Michigan as a junior. So it's pretty impressive there. And as I said before, all these 4 guys on the screen here earning these awards are all juniors, so that's pretty impressive and coming back next year. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Take a picture. And you can take that. Pictures. Pictures.
Thought they were going somewhere.
No, go ahead. All right, thanks, Coach. Coach Dan Hannes is actually an alumni of North Farmington as well. I probably should have said that in the very beginning. So he's our varsity assistant coach. Our next team is, head coach is not here tonight. I believe I heard they were doing a dinner for getting ready for the states this week. So we have two academic all-state seniors, Lillian Hodges and Ellie Sam, and they are both academic All-Americans as well. And Coach didn't give me the criteria for the All-American, but I still think that's a really big deal. And that's Lillian Hodges and Ellie Sam. Congratulations, ladies. All right, and coming up right now is our coach, Andre Dupree, who is also a new district employee, which I'm really excited to have. So he started off as a college student, and then he finished his degree, and he was hired as a district employee and is our boys and girls head coaches as well. Come on up, Coach.
Thank you so much for having me. I just want to shout out to Stacy Punzel and Allison Robinson. You guys really provided a ton of support for the tennis, so we really appreciate it. Also, a shout out to Coach TK. His team moved up to the white division for the first time in a while, so that was a huge accomplishment. So let's clap for him. Yeah, I was really proud of what my team was able to accomplish this year. As was mentioned, we won the regional title for the third straight year. We went to the state tournament, obviously, for the last 3 years. We tied for second in the OAA white division. We had a state champion, which who I'll speak about a little bit more in a minute. But beyond that, even more than the achievements, it's the young men that they are. These are some of the most respectful, mature, hardworking young men that I've had a chance to work with. And it really was a pleasure. It really was, one of the highlights of my day. Looking forward to going to see them, to coach them. And we will be graduating 12 seniors, so I'm really going to miss all of them. But I'm excited for the players that we still have coming up. We definitely still have a lot of potential. But yeah, they're just really great kids. They really synergize with the team and supported each other. So, beyond the successes, they're just really, they have great character. And I'm going to be talking about the academic all-state and things like that. We had many players on the team who had very high GPAs, and they still fully committed to a varsity tennis sport. And it's just very impressive to see, them be able to juggle those commitments. So I'm very proud of the team. So I'm going to speak about the awards. So we, as a team, as I was just mentioning, we did really well academically. So our team was academic all-state. As I mentioned, we're regional champions again for the first straight year. And then, as I mentioned too, we're graduating a ton of seniors. And many of our seniors got academic all-state. And to get academic all-state for a senior, you need to be playing in the regional lineup as well as get a 3.75 GPA or higher. So it really is impressive, the high level of scholarship that these athletes were able to reach. So if you are on the North Farmington varsity tennis team, come on up. Okay, so our first academic all-state recipient is Avi Meltzer. He's our one singles player, not here tonight, but let's clap for him. Our next senior academic all-state recipient is Hamdan Faisudin. He plays two singles, not here tonight, but we'll clap for him. And then we have Jack Weingarten. He is here. Let's clap for him. Jack is our free singles player. And then we have Alex Asher. He plays one doubles. Not here, but we'll clap for him. And then a member of our two doubles team, Adve Das, is here. So congrats. A member of our three doubles team, Aiden Binder, is also a recipient. So we'll clap for him. Caval Shaw is a member, the other member of our three doubles team, and he is here, so we'll clap for him. And then we have Nick Thayer, another recipient. He plays 4 doubles for the team, so yeah. And then we have Adve, who is a member, the other member of our 4 doubles team, so congratulations. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about the OAA All League. Like I mentioned, we did very well in the league tournament, tying second. So I was very proud of them. A couple of our players really stood out. So the way it works is we meet postseason and the coaches go through. We have, I think it's 22 medals that we give out to the most deserving players in the white division. So the players that won are Jack Weingarten, who's here, so we'll clap for Jack. Seth Cohen. Alex Asher. Avi Meltzer. And Hamdan Faisudin. And then, we did quite well at states. I think we got 12th place. And we had a couple of players who did very well. And then want to shout out to another player who maybe didn't get to a round that would, that isn't on this list, but I'm going to shout out in a second. But first things first, our 4 singles player, Tommy Buckcave, reached the quarterfinals of states, which was a big achievement. And then before I go into the last one, I want to shout out to really all the guys up here. Like all these guys were in the state lineup, really played well. I was very impressed. Shout out to Adve. So he and his partner only narrowly lost to the 2-seed Midland Dow in the final, and it was very impressive to watch. They played great. So a shout out to you, Adve. Yeah. And then of course, we have Jack Weingarten. I don't remember the last time North Farmington had a state champion. What's impressive about Jack is he was not seeded going into the tournament, so he was drawn to play the number 2 seed in the second round. He was able, obviously, to overcome that, and then he, competed very well against, I think, the 4th seed in the final. So he really impressed. So, congrats to Jack winning the state tournament. So overall, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come up and speak about these great guys. I know all of you guys are seniors. I'm going to miss you so much, but just very proud of you. Thank you.
Pictures.
All right. Congratulations, guys. All right, and our last team tonight is the girls volleyball team, and Coach Love is here to talk about his team.
All right, good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for allowing us to be here to recognize our student athletes. I'm the girls and boys volleyball coach at North Farmington. And first, student comes first before athlete. And we had a team GPA of a 3.7, which is amazing for our girls. So let's clap it up for them first. We were also city champions in volleyball. This would be maybe, I think, our 4th year in a row as city champs for volleyball. And then we're also OAA white champs, ending our record with 7-1 in the OAA. So, thank you. A few players that aren't here, I'm going to say their names first, and then I'm going to get to the athletes that are here. Scarlett Wayne, who was a 3-year varsity starter, also our defensive MVP. Sydney Bodner, 2nd year on varsity, was our team MVP. And then Waylon Kennedy, who's not here, is made also honorable mention. First, I'm going to call up Ava Trevino. She was first team all-conference. She was awesome. She was first team all-conference. She was also our one of our defensive specialists and also our team defensive MVP. Next is going to be Elizabeth Grasky. Liz was also first team. She has been our offensive MVP for the past 3 years and was pulled up her freshman year to play on varsity in our districts. So that's Elizabeth. Last but not least, we have Chelsea Durfield. Chelsea's a 2-year varsity starter and was probably one of our toughest hitters that we had on the team. So that's our volleyball team.
Got it? Did you want to finish up? Or? Good? Okay. All right, well, I want to say thank you again. Congratulations to all of our athletes. Can we get a huge round of applause for our coaches as well? We would not have the success that we have without our coaches who are dedicated and give hundreds of hours of off-season time to get our athletes ready for competition. So thank you for all that you do as well. We see you and we appreciate you. So thanks again. Thanks for allowing us to come and celebrate our athletes this evening.
Thank you. At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess. I'd ask that our board members return to the table at 6:48. You don't want to do a recess?
Come back.
No control.
Thank you for allowing us that brief recess. We will now continue on with the rest of our meeting. Is there someone who would like to propose to approve the agenda?
I'm sorry.
You want to?
Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, I move to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of the Board of Education, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, as presented.
Support.
Motion made to approve the agenda made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Dr. Turner. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will now move on to announcements. I want to acknowledge a pretty sad event. We had the passing of a student from North Farmington, Micah Rump. Micah was in the choir and joined us about a year or so ago. He had not been in Farmington Public Schools for that long. However, his family expressed how impactful his last year has been, and it's all attributable to the school community that he found himself in. And so I wanted to share that with the district, and especially North Farmington, and especially the choir. The services were absolutely touching. The choir came and performed for Micah and his family. It was absolutely amazing. It was really, really, really beautiful and touching. And I'm really happy that we have such great relationships and that Micah was able to find himself, be himself, and feel safe in his school. Next, the other thing I wanted to mention is that anyone who is interested in reaching out to that family, the family has asked actually that rather than cards or flowers, that they want donations to the North Farmington Choir or the Farmington Hills Education Foundation, which again is a testament to the environment that was created for Micah.
Can I just say that the board provided condolences for the gentleman.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Secretary Fox. I appreciate that. Moving on to other news, speaking of the Farmington Education Foundation, the Toast to Education was this past Friday, another hugely successful event. Thank you to all involved and everyone who supports the Farmington Education Foundation. Thank you for that. Next, just a quick reminder to parents that the district offers tutoring free of charge. If you are not familiar, please ask your students about Varsity Tutoring. It is an online platform that is available for all students who need help or support. Wanted to just share that I was able to attend a call that was organized by the Michigan Association of School Boards for all school board presidents across the state of Michigan. It's a new forum for presidents. I think they're going to start holding these quarterly. Really great opportunity to engage with other school board members and in particular school board presidents. This topic was related to onboarding because most people had some turnover in their boards and how we can do a good job of onboarding. In fact, I felt like Farmington Public Schools was sort of a model. I know this board has spent a lot of time on onboarding materials, and we really set a standard there. So we were able to offer a lot of great information and advice on that topic. And we've started that onboarding process already. I met with, and a couple of us, with our new board member-elect. Congratulations to Thomas Hull, who was successful in gaining a seat and will start in January. We're very happy to welcome him. We've started to share some onboarding materials and also invited Mr. Hull to our to his first retreat, which was held on Saturday. The board has quarterly retreats. We spend an entire Saturday together from morning until about 3 or 4 to discuss our board operations, to discuss policies, to discuss data, and also to assess ourselves with respect to our goals. So we had an incredibly productive retreat. We conducted a review of our mission and vision, our own dashboards, metrics on our progress towards district goals, the board goals, the superintendent goals, the interim superintendent evaluations, and recently released data on individual schools and the school district. Our goal is for every student to develop competencies associated with our profile of a lifelong learner and to achieve academic standards. We've outlined our goals and targets in the district's improvement plan, which is available on our website. We are measuring student growth and proficiency in literacy and math. We have a North Star target in each of these areas, which is a huge step in the right direction, and a dashboard which will measure how we're doing and hold us accountable year to year as we are making progress. I'm really happy about the progress that this board has made and the district has made, especially in that area. The board is performing well too. As a reminder, our goals for the board specifically were around student achievement, aligning resources with district resources and board priorities, aligning the resources to those priorities, professional development, goals around governance and data accountability, and building trust in our community. I'm happy to report that during our own self-assessment, which was facilitated by the Michigan Association of School Boards, that we're really performing well in some areas, and we've identified some areas where we need to continue to focus. We also had a really good discussion on board protocols. This outlines how the board operates, and we will have this on the agenda for possible action at the next board meeting. I also wanted to just talk through a request that we've had that came from the Farmington Hills Commission for Children, Youth, and Families, and it is a request to consider a proclamation on World Kindness Day. Farmington Hills established a proclamation sometime last week, and I believe the city of Farmington is doing something as well. They seek to encourage kindness. Again, a member of our board suggested that we consider the same. I think in this environment and climate, promoting kindness is justified, certainly. And we need in this climate to definitely consider kindness. There has been just some discussion about whether the board's role is to issue proclamations or not, and so we want to have that discussion. So with that, I would like to read portions of the proclamation and see whether there is any appetite for considering that. The vision of Farmington Public Schools is to provide every learner with equitable experiences to explore and develop their passions and interests. As part of that vision, Farmington Public Schools has created its profile of a lifelong learner, which includes making sure that learners are compassionate community members who welcome the unique contribution of each individual, value the strength and power of community, and participate to create a positive and authentic impact in the community, personal, local, and global. Whereas education systems and organizations have a unique opportunity to instill kindness at a young age, and whereas FPS recognizes that November is the starting point for ongoing year-round efforts that emphasize compassion and understanding as key societal values. We aim to ensure that kindness becomes more than just an occasional gesture, but envisioned as a fundamental aspect of human interaction that is celebrated and practiced universally, strengthening societal bonds and enhancing mutual respect amongst diverse populations. The Board of Education encourages hosting projects that focus on kindness, compassion, and empathy. These initiatives are crucial for helping children understand the value of kindness and the positive impact it can have on their lives. At this time, I believe the board is supportive of kindness in general, but would like to see whether the board is interested in entertaining a motion to approve or a motion to put forward a World Kindness Day proclamation. I'm going to ask for Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, President Weems. I'd like to make the motion to make the World Kindness Day, which was November 12th, make a motion that Farmington Public Schools put that in place.
Is there a second? Hearing no second, I think that motion cannot be entertained. At this time, though, I would like to open it up for discussion. Dr. Blau?
Yes, I have a concern because last year there were some strong calls from the community for us to pass a peace proclamation, and we did not. And the circumstances were different. However, the bottom line is we made a big deal about that it's not our role to pass these proclamations. My other concern is that the date for this proclamation, the World Kindness Day, was already November 13th, and I don't understand why we would pass a proclamation for a date that already passed. My third and final concern is, I know it says that the Board of Education encourages hosting projects that focus on kindness, compassion, and empathy. Our classroom teachers are already busy enough doing the work at hand. Kindness and elements of compassion are already part of our lifelong learner profile of a lifelong learner. Our teachers are already doing that kind of work, and I am concerned about redoubling the emphasis on this and putting out there yet another expectation, another something that our teachers are expected to do. So those are my concerns. Of course, kindness is wonderful, and it's not that I'm against kindness. It's some of these other particulars that I'm concerned about.
Any other comments, thoughts, reactions? Mrs. Smith?
With the climate that we are in right now, the bullying, whether it's from students on students, staff on staff, staff and students, it's World Kindness Day. We have passed proclamations before. We had the moms come in to talk about gun violence. We did a DEI proclamation, which most of the community was not happy about. The proclamation that came before us last year, that is a world thing that the community was asking for. This is about being kind to others here in this community and abroad. As I stated, with what's going on in this country right now, yes, we do have kindness in our buildings, but it's a world kindness proclamation that we are asking. We're not asking to get involved in the political arena with what was taking place before. That is simply a political thing that we have no control over. Parents came and asked for a ceasefire. That is not our role to put in a ceasefire. Our role is to be kind and look out for the students and be for the betterment of the students here in Farmington Hills.
Seeing no further discussion, I want to acknowledge that as a board, the board supports Farmington and Farmington Hills in issuing a World Kindness Proclamation, but at this time will not be entertaining its own World Kindness Proclamation. I think we all choose kindness, but I also appreciate the desire to remove politics from this board table. So we will move on. All right, next on our agenda is public comment. If you are interested in making public comment, I would encourage you to fill out a comment card and bring it to the bowl at the end of this table. Thank you, Dr. Blau. We have 2 public comment periods, one now and then one a little bit later on in the agenda right before action items. I'd encourage you, if you have a public comment, to choose whether you make your public comment now or you make your public comment at the second public comment opportunity. You have one opportunity for public comment. We have 2 public comment periods only for convenience to allow those who wish to come in and give their public comment and potentially leave. And then also for those who may not have an opportunity to get to the board meeting early to have an opportunity to weigh in on any matter ahead of action items. One public comment opportunity per person. You can choose which period of time that you do that. During public comment, you're welcome to address the board. We ask that you do just that, address the board and not members of the audience. There will be a timer on the screen to provide a countdown for you. Each person has 3 minutes. If your comment is related to a student or a staff member, please use caution in stating names of individuals where protections of privacy would be more appropriate. The board will respectfully listen to your comments, but generally, the board does not respond to public comment unless there are situations where we need to address in error. With that said, we're going to start with Chris Dianchi, followed by Coach Knopfzinger.
Good evening. I wanted to say thank you to the Policy Committee for your work in changing our cell phone expectations at the high school level. Teachers report to me that the new technology expectations are having a positive impact on student learning and behavior. I'm hearing more about student discourse and less about behaviors, less about distractions, and less concerns about fights that are carrying on because of social media, because students are now separated from their cell phones during class. We see less students in the bathroom sitting on the wall playing on their cell phones, which got me wondering if we could find some statistical evidence to go along with what's been observed anecdotally. So looking at our smart data usage of bathroom passes last year and this year, the seniors at North Farmington, we found, went to the bathroom 10,000 times at this time last year, from the start of school till now. The data this year, they have less than 5,000 passes. While I can't stand here and guarantee that the cell phone policy caused this dramatic shift in data, I can certainly tell you there's a lot of correlation going on with students having to put their phones away at the start of the class and not sitting in bathrooms on their phones. We reclaimed a lot of instructional time so far this year, and I look forward to seeing our year-end data. So thanks to everyone who listened to our teachers and our concerns about cell phones at the high school level and supported the implementation of our new personal technology policy, because it appears we have both anecdotal and statistical evidence that points towards success of this policy. As a board, you're often presented with both anecdotal and statistical evidence of how we're doing as a district. Whether it's statistical evidence shared in your board packets and presented at meetings like this, or public comment, emails, and letters to the board, you have lots of big decisions to make and one that's coming up. So I hope you consider all such evidence. As a community member and parent of 2 FPS alumni and 5 current students, I often hear anecdotal data about how we're doing as a district. And as a union leader, I hear and see it even more. I pay attention to other data points as well. I paid attention to the results of our Cobalt survey, which highlighted that more than 80% of our parents would recommend Farmington Public Schools. I paid attention to the overall positive results of our employee engagement survey by Gallagher, which talked about employee wellness, resilience, and engagement. And I pay attention to our student growth and achievement data, which continues to improve. Even some of the district's harshest critics have acknowledged that our student growth is headed in the right direction. And some of the best growth is shown by subgroups that are breaking trends and heading closer to the kind of outcomes we want to see from all of our students. Each of these data points left us for areas of improvement, and as a district, we should always acknowledge that. But overall, I believe this data, both anecdotal and statistical, should help this board reach the conclusion that we should stay the course in what we're doing with our current leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Coach Knopfzinger, followed by Bill Lubaway.
Board members, I'm here today to express my displeasure with the decision to have an asynchronous day on November 15th. I emailed the board, the interim superintendent, and the principals. I want to thank Ms. Weems for responding. For the longest time, the board and district administration have told us that we seek community input, we're transparent, we make decisions based on data. As far as I can tell, you didn't do any of those things. In fact, there was no mention of this idea in any board meeting, no mention of this on the district website, the app, the district calendar, or Facebook page. No mention of this on the North Farmington or Farmington website or calendars. Parents were notified only 10.5 days in advance via email, and that was it. Now, this idea had potential. but in my opinion, it was handled poorly. I have several questions and concerns about this event. Number one, where's the data that supports this decision? Number two, we've been told that this was a board-supported event, but we haven't been told who brought it to the board. Was this idea brought to the board by the interim superintendent? If so, then how could the board support such a new idea from an interim superintendent who's also a candidate for the superintendent position? How might that affect the selection process? What kind of fair superintendent selection process can we have if we're allowing one of the candidates to implement new ideas while the other candidates aren't afforded the opportunity? Number three, will we be allowed to retake our superintendent surveys so that we can include questions or make comments about this asynchronous day idea on the surveys? Number four, if this was done to help kids, then why online? What other ideas were considered? We all know online is certainly a viable choice for some, but online isn't for everyone. Number five, why weren't parents and community members included in the discussion before the decision? Number six, was this decision made because other districts are doing this? Are you aware that there are school districts in Maryland and Indiana that have tried this in the past and they've stopped? And finally, my seventh concern is, when in education do we halt the learning, any new learning, for 2,700 plus students? Okay? I need to address something else as well. There's an email that came out from the principals on November 10th, and it had a particularly condescending kind of paragraph in there about change and courage. And I think what it would have been better is an apology, because a lot of us felt that this was not handled well. And so far, we haven't heard that. So I do have more questions and concerns about this asynchronous day, and I will email those to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bill Lubaway, followed by, did I have another card? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Preston Marston. Thank you.
Thank you. I have two areas to cover. One is the superintendent's search over-engineered? Farmington Public Schools does not need an academic turnaround. It ranks 68th out of 580 Michigan school districts. What it needs is consistency and predictability to improve academic performance. As interim superintendent, Dr. Coffin has developed the district's 5-year strategic planning dashboard, which establishes SMART goals in 4 key areas. This is the path to improved district academic performance. The state of Michigan is a different story. It ranks 41st among the 50 states. Farmington's 2024 district performance report shows gains in student literacy and math for all students, including African American and low-income students. However, Farmington's African American and low-income students lag in achievement. Unfortunately, Farmington's experience tracks with Michigan's state underperformance. For the parents of students who lag, it would be encouraging to see how the $6 million spend down of the excess fund balance is being used for programs to close this achievement gap. New topic. Michigan House Dems push abortion and sex ed overhaul. Last month, this board eliminated its policy which prohibited anyone in the district from referring or assisting a student in obtaining an abortion. We were told that this policy was not needed because other safeguards were in place. After the November 5th election, Michigan House Democrats introduced a bill to eliminate those safeguards. Schools don't have to teach abstinence, don't have to teach about adoption, can distribute birth control drugs or devices, can teach abortion as a birth control method, and are allowed to refer or assist a student in obtaining an abortion. Dems said the bill was introduced after the election to avoid it becoming politicized in campaigns. No kidding. Last month, did this board know that this unethical scheme to change the playing field after we voted? did we know about that in advance?
Thank you. Next, we have Preston Marston, and I have no more cards after that. But remember, we have another public comment period, so if you don't speak now, you will have to wait until the next public comment section, which is section 9 of our agenda. We are currently on section 5. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Preston Marston, and I'm a current resident of Farmington Hills and am familiar with Farmington Hills writing contests. The contests that interest me are their writing contests, but the library should expand upon their contest selection for students looking to express their creativity. Some contests that come to mind are a film contest and a screenplay contest. A wider selection of contests would not only allow students already interested in those contests to show their work, their creativity, and their unique form of expression, but for students who are not already interested, contests are an opportunity to discover new ways to express themselves and be a resilient, creative problem solver, just like a lifelong learner. My joy and love for film actually sprouted from a contest I competed in for fun, and now I compete in dozens. Contests are an amazing way for people to discover and practice new interests and get critical feedback. All in all, the Farmington School District and the Farmington Library should offer more contests to make the most of these benefits and encourage students to have positive competition while expressing their creativity and unique style while learning a thing or two on the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciated that and hope that you submit to the PTA Reflections contest every year. Okay, with that, I'm asking for any more public comment. Any more public comment for this first public comment section? Seeing none, we will move to items from the secretary. Mrs. Fox? No problem.
So items from the Secretary, the Board has received communication regarding a number of items. Do that? Or can I? Sure. Yeah. Abortion. The.
I will read that for you. It's a little tiny. The board has received communications regarding abortion, the Equipped to Thrive system, the Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center is moving to Head Start Government in early 2025. November 15th, updated Head Start program performance standards implementation, wrongful termination, and asynchronous days. The board acknowledges communications and response when appropriate. A list of correspondence can be found in the board packet accessible on the Farmington Public Schools website. We will now move to the legislative update. Do we have any updates, Dr. Blau?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
This is our only meeting in November because of the election, so I have some things from the week of November 1st that I'd like to highlight, one thing, and then something from last week to highlight. So the first piece of information I would like to share is that the U.S. Government Accountability Office released a study on school districts' reported spending of initial COVID relief funds on meeting students' needs and continuing school operations. This study looked at $60 billion in elementary, secondary school emergency relief, or ESSER funds, through 2021 and 22 in 17 states, one of which was Michigan. They found that about 80% of that ESSER spending went to addressing students' academic, social, and emotional needs and continuing school operations during COVID. For example, most of the districts that the Government Accountability Office visited added instructional time, and many purchased new curricula during that time period to help with dealing with COVID and still providing a quality education for our students. The remaining 20% of the funds went to addressing physical and mental health concerns, including purchasing cleaning supplies, improving ventilation, and hiring school psychologists. K12dive.com ran a story on the study back the first week of November as well. So I thought that would be helpful information for us to have. And also, the House passed a safe firearm storage school mandate This bill mandates that by June 1st, 2025, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services must develop and provide the Department of Education with an informational notice on best practices for firearm storage. This notice must include details on legal requirements for firearm storage, answers to frequently asked questions about firearm storage, and information on obtaining gun locks and safes, including free or low-cost options. The Department of Education will then distribute this notice to all public schools and, upon request, non-public schools as well. Furthermore, starting from July 1st, 2026, this informational notice will be annually updated to reflect any changes in the law, with the revised notice provided to the Department of Education by July 1st each year. The bill passed on a party line vote with all Democrats supporting it. So that is House Bills 5450 and 5451 from last week.
Thank you. With that, we will move to district updates. Dr. Coffin?
Thank you, President Weems. As President Weems shared in her report, the Board of Education did meet on Saturday for their quarterly board retreat. In reflecting on that time together, I realized that these conversations are now able to take place due to the work that is happening across the district. In 2021, a meeting with building leaders led to our professional learning areas of focus at the system level, including 3 key system priorities, those being learner engagement, organizational practices, and a mindset for system reform. Since then, the district has focused in these areas, and we are now seeing the impact of this data gathered from these efforts. I just wanted to share a few things this evening related to some of these system improvements. First being learner engagement. Learner engagement is defined as engagement for the adults as well as for the students. It includes being cognitively, emotionally, and behaviorally engaged. A commitment to ensuring that every student has access to high-quality learning opportunities has been a guiding principle, shifting our structures, reducing disparities, and increasing engagement across the district. Over the past 3 years, the district has adopted in partnership with our educators and referenced a bit in Dr. Blau's presentation, 17 new core instructional resources, including 4 supplemental literacy and math resources at K-5 alone. By garnering resources for our staff, the district enables educators to unlock student potential. This pace in getting quality resources in front of our educators is unmatched in past efforts at FPS. Collaborations with organizations such as Urban Learning Institute and New Tech Network have accelerated efforts to increase student engagement. These partnerships have allowed our district to access innovative strategies and opportunities. The district continues to transition towards a student-centered system, placing learners at the center of the experience. Fostering engagement has and continues to be a focus for both during and following the pandemic. Because of these efforts, the district is now recognized as one of the top 3 districts in Oakland County for growth in 3rd grade M-STEP literacy, highlighting the district's impact of our learner-centered approach. Our school index scores, which were recently released by the state, indicate that in addition of being one of the top 3 in Oakland County districts to grow the 3rd grade literacy proficiency, we saw a greater increase in our 5th grade math proficiency as compared to the county. We also saw significant growth in our elementary title buildings, meeting 90% of the literacy and math growth targets in most buildings that have been set by the state for the 2031-32 school year. We as a district are one of 22, when you think of a total of 57 high schools, that increased our 11th grade literacy scores, with 11th graders scoring 7% above the state literacy proficiency targets. In addition, we see that 80% of our FPS graduates continue their learning in various post-secondary settings, with 70% continuing with that learning after 2 years following their graduation. We have invested significantly in the adults that support the learning. This investment has led to over 28,000 hours of professional learning for our educators in 23-24 school year alone. 218 teachers have participated in creating authentic learning experiences for our students. We also focus on organizational practices. These talk about the support of people and skills and the culture and values of the organization. The district began to build the system in 2021 to collect and analyze data effectively, enabling informed decisions that guide organizational improvements, such as what President Weems mentioned about our strategic planning dashboard. These plans incorporate culture, structure, and collective practices that create lasting impact. We have seen a shift in these practices as we created common language with our mission, our vision, our profile of a lifelong learner, and our instructional framework, again, serving as our true north. The focus on sharing best practices has created a more cohesive teaching environment. Educators are empowered to celebrate and learn from successes, driving consistency and collective practice. Leadership practices emphasize capacity building, bringing principals together as partners in the district work. This has fostered a culture of shared responsibility and purpose. As part of our talent development efforts, the board saw information from a survey, as President Weems mentioned, where with a 73% response rate, our FPS staff believe that their supervisor cares about them and their well-being, and that the work environment allows for growth and development. Staff highlight the atmosphere of organizational strategy to be supportive conditions across the district. Barriers that still need to be overcome include how we allow space and opportunity for improvement across our system. Staff shared that they want more time for training and development and would like to see opportunities increase for advancement within the organization. Finally, we focus on a mindset for system improvement. This serves as the connection between our district improvement processes as well as our strategic planning. Leadership practices prioritize influence and inquiry over directive approaches, cultivating a mindset of collaboration and shared accountability. Organizational values are now centered on our shared mission and vision and focus. These elements act as a uniting framework for our strategic as well as our tactical actions across the district. Instructional equity drives the district's improvement effort, ensuring that no individual classroom operates in isolation and that all practices align with a shared purpose. Beginning in August of 2023 to now, over 650 staff members have completed equity training online modules to improve their practice. We continue to make our equity work visible and are monitoring key indicators for system improvement and impact, as the board previewed at the last retreat. Partnerships with entities like Google and Apple and GSV have helped frame future-focused planning. The district participates in initiatives and organizations such as the Education Research and Design Institute and Innovative Educator Institute, and as well, state-run learning groups that reflect our forward-thinking mindset. Professional learning with our building leaders has increased their instructional leadership capacity. Our work is based on research from the Wallace Foundation that says if principals focus on the following areas: engaging in instructionally focused interactions with teachers, building a productive climate, facilitating collaboration in professional learning communities, and managing personnel and resource strategically, we see student achievement increase in those buildings by up to 3 months. The Wallace Foundation found that these 4 areas, again, will benefit teacher outcomes and student achievement. Finally, as we work to reimagine what school could be, how we provide additional opportunities in STEM and STEM-related fields, how we capitalize on our amazing CTE facilities and opportunities, how we invest in our students inside and outside of the classroom, as we saw here as we celebrated our athletes. We know that we cannot do this alone. Our partnerships throughout the Farmington Hills community will be necessary to come up with a solution large enough to meet the needs of those we serve. This district has made significant progress over the past few years, driven by strategic investments in leadership, professional development, and partnerships. Our work is far from complete. However, we're building a culture where instructional equity, collaboration, and continuous improvement continue to serve as a foundation for success for all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coffin. We will now hear about a 2020 bond technology update.
Yes, I'd like to ask Ms. Amy Sassina to come up from Plant Moran, and she will be presenting the 2020 Bond Tech Update.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to come and present to you and provide you an update on what we've done as part of the 2020 Technology Bond. And we have a couple slides here. So we've completed a lot of projects. I'm going to go through them in kind of three categories. So we have the instructional technology, which is things that directly affect students in their instruction. We have safety and instructional support. So those would be things that would protect the students, video surveillance, things that would support them, teacher, technology, support staff, and then infrastructure, which is really the things behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see but are necessary to upgrade. So a couple things that we've completed. So classroom AV, if you've been in any of the classrooms lately, all the K-12 classrooms now have smart interactive flat panels, and so it allows the students to go right up to the panel, touch them. The technology lasts a lot longer than the projectors. It's brighter, so it's easier to see. We've gotten great feedback on it so far. And they will last longer than the previous projectors and also won't have various replacement costs. So the projectors had components that needed to be replaced, these don't. So the overall savings to the general fund as well. Student devices, so there are now, all students K-12 have Chromebooks. They have 14-inch touchscreen devices that help them in their daily activities, and so that is something that was implemented in 2021, 2022. I'll talk a little bit about the replacement of that when we get to the next few slides here. Also, along with student devices are a lot of labs, and so there's labs at the secondary level that are replaced kind of on an ongoing basis, usually every 5 years, unless the technology is doing really well, we might extend it a year. But we do keep that updated so that students have the most recent technology and are able to enjoy the programs. As far as safety and instructional support, in the summer of 2023, we put in video surveillance cameras in all the elementaries. We upgraded the conference rooms, so there's AV in the conference rooms across the district. Also implemented new copiers in 2022 and 2023. We implemented support staff devices just recently, that was this year, as well as docking stations and monitors. One other thing that we accomplished was the infrastructure, and so in 2023 we implemented new wireless, which again is something you don't see, but is necessary as all the students have more devices. Everything is reliant on wireless, and so you need to continually upgrade that to make sure that you're able to connect, you're able to do all your work seamlessly. We have one project that's currently in process, and actually it's pretty much near completion. We are kind of in the last phase of this. So large area AV, both high schools got significant upgrades to the auditorium technology. If you go on any of them, you'll see there's new projectors, there's some screens on the sides, new sound. Just everything is working much more seamlessly. In addition to that, the 4 middle schools, STEAM included in that, all have new systems in their cafetoriums, the lunchrooms that have the stages. And one of the reasons we upgraded those was so that students who are part of productions there can get some experience and then move seamlessly to the technology that is at the high schools. And so it's the technology is compatible. It'll allow them to grow as they move through their career. Now for the planned projects. So coming up actually this spring, all teachers are going to get new devices, new laptops, as well as docking stations and monitors. So this spring they'll get the new devices, and then over the summer the monitors and the docking stations will go in, so they'll be fresh for them when they start in the fall. Student devices I mentioned, so the district has Chromebooks district-wide. Those typically last about 5 years, so we are planning to replace those in 2026 and 2027. Lab devices, again, I mentioned, that's just kind of a rolling, we have a schedule of each lab and when it was put in and when it needs to be replaced, so there's usually 1 to 2 a year that we replace of those. Curriculum-specific projects, so these vary. There's a committee looking at different aspects of what we can do technology-wise to help curriculum. And so there is an allocation for that. Those kind of come up as needed, and we have various projects going on all the time for that. Classroom audio, so all classrooms, K-12, have teacher microphones. And the most recent ones that were put in with secondary, and that was in 2021 or 22, I believe. Everything is functioning really well. We had actually planned to replace them this year, and everything's working really well. So at this point, we are not replacing them yet. We're going to wait and see how they do. Going to kind of evaluate them as we go. And when they need replacement, we will replace those.
You mean like audio for the teacher?
Yeah. Yep. As far as safety and instructional support, so the staff devices, mostly the principals and directors, those will be replaced in 2026. And then we have video surveillance refresh. And again, that is one of those where we're kind of monitoring the status of the current equipment. The cameras are doing really well. We do know that there's some additional needs, and so we're looking at those as well. But doing an overall evaluation of that and putting them in when the timing makes sense. And then the stuff that you don't see that's really not glitzy and glamoury, but is necessary anyway. So this summer, there's going to be an upgrade to the firewall and the UPS. The UPSs are basically the power supplies that keep everything running until the generators kick in. So they keep the network closets running so that the phones keep running. So we're upgrading those, and the firewall is just a layer of protection between the internet and the kids. Structured cabling and fiber and closet work is a huge project that we're undertaking in the next 2 summers. Again, it's nothing that you're going to see. It's nothing that anybody's going to see, but it's very necessary. The cabling here, some of it is probably, I guess, maybe 20 years old, maybe a little older. And the standards have changed a lot since then. It's not something you see much, but anywhere you see a little jack that you plug into, kind of looks like a phone jack, that is, we're replacing those. A lot of the wireless was already replaced, but basically all the classrooms are getting new data. Everywhere that has not had new data recently, which would only be the wireless and the video surveillance, is going to get new data as part of this. It's a large project. It'll take a couple weeks to a month for each building. We are working with the summer programming with special ed to make sure that we're not disrupting any of their programs while we do it during the summer. The network refresh, so similar to the wireless, it's something in the background. It's required to connect all the devices. That's going to go in 2026, and the phone system will be in 2026 as well. One thing to note on some of these upgrades, so the structured cabling, the network refresh, the wireless, those all coincide with E-rate, and I'm not going to get into too much detail on that, but it is a federal program where you get money back, and so we make sure that we comply with all the timelines, that you guys apply to that. You work with an E-rate consultant as well, and you get funding back for that as well. That's it.
Any questions from board members? Mrs.
Yeah,
Hyman?
I have a question. This is 2020 bond money, and you have projections out through 2026. So how long is this bond money going to last?
So the bond is planned to go through 2026, with the exception of, we have a couple things that are going to go in 2027, which would be the Chromebook replacements.
Okay. And as far as video surveillance, do we have video surveillance on the buses?
Yeah.
Is that part of the technology bond money too, or is that separate?
I believe that was the last technology bond, the 2015 bond.
Seeing no further questions, thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.
All right, we will move to our next agenda item, which is reports from board committees. We'll start with the Superintendent Succession Planning Committee. I'm the chair of that committee. That committee consists of myself. Our bylaws actually provide that it requires that members include the board president, the board vice president, and the immediate past president. So I sit on that committee. Mr. Walker sits on that committee, and Dr. Blau sits on that committee. We met November 10th to go over feedback that we received from Cobalt. Do we have that up and available? Or do I need to go over there? I don't. Do our TV10 folks have the Cobalt Community Research presentation. It looks like we're pulling that up. Thank you for that. While we're going through, I can just maybe go through the feedback that we received. We asked the Cobalt organization to conduct a survey and ask our community some questions as it relates to the superintendent. As background, let me go just step all the way back. Most folks are aware that in July, late July, our previous superintendent, Dr. Delgado, announced that he would be leaving to pursue another opportunity. In the summer, or late summer, about August, this board met to discuss next steps. At that time, the board had several options. The board could directly appoint someone to the position of superintendent, either internally or externally, or the board could conduct a search for a superintendent and focus either on internal candidates or both internal and external candidates. The board decided at that time to appoint its acting superintendent, Dr. Coffin. We had already identified who would serve as acting in the event that something happens to the superintendent. That's just a policy or protocol that boards have. Who would be the second person in command? Dr. Coffin was already identified as that person, so we identified her as the interim superintendent while the board continued to make decisions about who the permanent superintendent would be. The board felt very strongly that it wanted to solicit input from the community, and we did that over the course of the past several months. The Cobalt organization was hired to do that for us, and so this was independent of the board. They went out and solicited feedback, issued a survey, conducted several focus sessions, and we received a report. It's not coming up on the screen, but it's available online. We made it available as part of this board packet. And so I'm going to walk through it. The bottom line is that the majority of respondents to that survey prefer a candidate who is experienced either as an assistant superintendent or a superintendent from another district. The most important areas of expertise were curriculum development and evaluation, along with budget development and management. Almost half of the respondents would like to see a collaborative leadership style with a secondary style of transformative or transformational leadership. The most important skills were the ability to develop and direct an effective management team and be very responsive. The most important characteristics to our community are being honest and ethical, being a problem solver and a strong communicator, and respondents would like a candidate who will continue the good work of the current administration, but some would like to make some necessary changes, but not an overhaul. Overall, there were 714 people who responded to the survey. That gives us a plus or minus 4% margin of error or a 95% confidence level. National surveys generally have a margin of error of plus or minus 5%, so our plus or minus 4% is good news, and require a sample of 384 respondents, and we had 714 respondents. So that means that this is statistically significant. Went through all of that information already. Ultimately, I'm reading from their report. The top themes include three things. The first theme was around Dr. Coffin herself. Many respondents would like to see Dr. Coffin take over the position. They feel that she is the natural choice as a caring individual inside the school system. Some do not feel this way, but still would like to see the position filled from within and by someone who is familiar with the school. The second theme was around leadership. Respondents noted that they want someone who has leadership skills and will listen to staff and parents. They would like to see one who will continue to expand the AP classes and understand that all students should get equal opportunities. And the third theme was around diversity. Some respondents are concerned that politics will play into the decision who fills the superintendent position, and several noted that diversity and academic improvement remain at the top of the priorities. So the Superintendent Succession Planning Committee met to review the survey results, to discuss the feedback related to the qualifications of the superintendent, our options, and next steps, including timing and communication. We review the 700 responses, including the 250-plus people who took the time to leave more detailed comments. There were about 50 pages of more detailed comments from members of our community. I myself read through all of the feedback. I'm sure many of our board members did as well. The information was shared with the rest of the board. Mr. Walker also stated that he performed a very similar exercise as I did, where I categorized all of the feedback into about 15 different buckets. The written feedback was very consistent with the survey results, with most people expressing a desire for stability, for consistency, for staying the course, not status quo, which is different than staying the course. It is more along the lines of what Dr. Coffin was talking about earlier regarding our progress is starting to be demonstrated, and people want to see that continue. There was also support for supporting an internal candidate and for the current interim to be considered for the position. There was some feedback that for folks who wanted a different direction, and expressly there were 7 people who expressly stated that they did not want to see the current person in the role. There was also feedback that the committee felt should be addressed that was not relevant necessarily to the search, but there was a lot of feedback related to DEI, both positive and negative. There was a lot of comments related to the board itself, the board's ability to attract a candidate, the board's ability to work with a superintendent. There were some requests for the board to address discipline, to remove politics from decision-making, to listen to staff more, and to ensure that the district is not moving too quickly on innovations. So this is feedback that the committee thought the board needed to hear and needed to consider, in addition to the superintendent search and beyond. The committee acknowledged that while the feedback indicated a desire to continue forward with the current administration and the current interim superintendent, that the committee should discuss the possibility of conducting a search to ensure that Farmington Public Schools obtains the best overall candidate. The discussion around an external search included the following. The need to do what is the best for students and the district should be the highest priority rather than any concerns related to criticism. The cost, time, and resources associated with conducting a search should be considered. The cost to conduct a search is generally about $100,000 and takes at least 6 months. The time associated with conducting a search would mean that the board and the leader of the district would be consumed with search activities rather than other more pressing needs of the district. The potential lowering of morale from staff who have overwhelmingly positive feedback and the potential loss of staff members was a consideration. The consideration regarding the likelihood of getting qualified candidates. The committee considered that the candidate pool may not be as wide as one would like due to reputation, previous departures, and the fact that the existence of internal candidates into the pool might cause external candidates not to apply, and that's based on historical knowledge and search firm consultations. If the board were to conduct interviews and select an external candidate, that could end up being an unsuitable leader based on prior experience. The board also considered feedback from the survey indicating that what is best for students and the community at this time might be what is minimally disruptive. There was also some concern expressed about doing the opposite of what the feedback suggested. The committee outlined options for the selection of the next superintendent, and those included 2 options. First, to appoint the person serving as interim. The committee members discussed the desire to re-review Dr. Coffin's resume to ensure that her background aligned with the results of the survey and the feedback in terms of transformative leadership, collaborative leadership, and all of the things that were expressed in the survey. So option 1 is to consider the current person serving as interim, and the other consideration is to interview external candidates. The committee discussed that feedback again and was really concerned about the system and the constant changes. There was a discussion about the fact that there had been a number of superintendents in the past few years, and although this was not expressly discussed in the committee discussion, I went back, and over a 12-year period, there have been 6 superintendents, starting with Sue Zervalik, Dr. Heitch, Bob Herrera, Dr. Goodrum, Dr. Delgado, and now Dr. Coffin. And so adding a 7th person in a 12-year period is a lot of change, and most absolutely, certainly impacts student achievement. So at this time, the committee discussed the timing and the sense of urgency, essentially, to ensure that whoever the new leader is put in a position as quickly as possible to ensure that they can be effective in their job and continue to move the district forward. The committee also described that they had a desire to issue a communication, which they did sometime last week, to alert the community that we had met, that we've received the feedback, we had reviewed it, and that we would be recommending that the board discuss it and come up with next steps at a future meeting, which would be this meeting. That was a long report, but I think this is one of the most important decisions that the board makes, and so I wanted to be very comprehensive and transparent in sharing. That ends my report. We will now, and before I move on, we have an opportunity, board members, to discuss this, what I just mentioned, and hear from everyone a little later in the agenda where we have a specific discussion topic, so that's not the end of this discussion. We'll now move, though, to the Finance and Facilities Committee update. Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, the Finance and Facilities Committee met Google Meet on November 14th. Trustee Smith and Trustee Weems were present. The first thing we talked about was bid pack number 15 on transportation, and that covers 4 main areas in the transportation facility: mechanical, lighting, and roofing for the existing bays, enlargement of 4 bus bays to accommodate longer buses, outside painting, and a parking lot refresh. This is a discussion item on, and so we'll hear more about that on the discussion. The second thing on the agenda was a modular classroom purchase on Hillside. And this was an introduction. Dr. Coffin summarized the classroom capacity at Hillside Elementary, and what's happening is the space is not enough, and next year they're going to need some additional space. And so at this time, it was just introducing, looking at the option of what they call a portable classroom. Now it's called a 2-classroom modular unit. So back in the days when my kids were in school, the portable classrooms, I know they had them at Flanders, Farmington High School. We moved beyond that. So there were some good questions on that. It's not something that the district is considering at this time. It's just introducing a discussion. And what the committee asked for was for the district to evaluate the all of the elementary buildings as far as capacity and needs and future needs, and so that we can have a more thorough discussion. And so that will, so nothing is recommended, and it's not a discussion item for the board to consider until there's more information. And the other thing on here was the new central office update. On the new central office, once they got into the building, there was a need for additional updates. And this is money that is already included as far as in the bid pack, and it doesn't require any further approval. The district Mr. Barth just wanted us to be aware of the fact that there's additional things being done. Future agenda items is budget to actual. We're waiting on that for reliable information. And then the survey of the facilities uses capacity across the district and what we need to do to address that.
Thank you. That's all for your update?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
perfect.
sorry.
Okay. No, I was just
I
making
was
sure.
done.
Thank you. All right, we will now move to item 10 of our agenda, which is discussion items. The first item up is bid pack 15 on transportation.
Yep, so I'd like to welcome Mr. John Barth, Director of Facilities, Management and Transportation, along with Mr. Scott Smith from Plant Moran, Real Point, and Mr. Aaron Phillips with McCarthy and Smith to present information to the board on bid pack number 15 as it relates to transportation.
So good evening, board members and Dr. Coffin. I'm here to talk about bid pack 15, which is our transportation renovation. That building is aging. As you know, it's about 40 years old in terms of the way it is structured now. But I did want to say something significant. I'm bringing my master's in history degree back to life here. So just so you know, 2025, when this work is scheduled to happen, is the 100th anniversary of the school bus. So in 1925, the first school bus was built on a Ford truck. It was wooden. The back structure was wooden. Also, the first school buses were orange, not yellow. That changed in 1937. So with all that being said, we're at a time now where we need to do some renovation of the building that's really aging quickly. A lot of mechanical stuff dates back to the 1990s. Nothing's really been touched except what Aaron's done in the front area to accommodate the bus drivers. So we decided that now is the time at the end of the bond to put together a little project, which is extending bays, doing roof work, doing some of the parking lot work, stuff that really needs to happen. The biggest thing is we're buying more and more big buses to accommodate more students, right? And it's more economical. So we need the bays to be extended because right now the larger 72-passenger buses can't fit in the bays. So in the middle of winter, they're sticking out of the bus garage and they're having to work outside. So that's what prompted this whole thing. The bids came back really well. We're happy and pleased about that. A number of bidders. I'll let Aaron talk more about that. We are under budget, so we're looking for approval at the next board meeting for this bid pack.
Thank you for that. I agree with everything you said except for the fact that everything from the 90s requires updating. I graduated in the 90s, and I take exception to that. I'm just kidding. Thank you.
I do not take exception.
Good evening. I'm going to call up Aaron, too, to support, but I don't have a whole lot more to add. It was about a year ago when we first met out at Transportation with the team and really started going through the scope and taking a look at what was planned, what was needed, and really going through the building. As John said, most of these things are kind of critical needs. We're talking about roofing, lighting, heating within that space, things we need for our mechanics. The parking lot obviously needs some work, too, so there's a big chunk of this that's devoted to improving the site improvements there at the site, as well as the addition. Again, we are under budget. It was a very successful bid, but I will allow Aaron, as he always does, to kind of elaborate on that process and answer more questions that you may have.
Does anyone have questions? So we talked about this pretty extensively in the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, yes?
We do. They do a really thorough job. And one of the things that questions always asked is, as far as the bids are minority-owned businesses, and Aaron actually had information on that he's going to share as far as the scope of the bids and what it included, I think. Yes? No?
Thank you for that. One other consideration that we always ask is about whether this was included in the original scope and whether it's under budget. And it is under budget, but I just wanted to recircle back on, was this part of our original plan?
Yes, so there was always planned bond work at Transportation. A lot of this work is true to plan. As with every project, we evaluate that need, and as John said, the need for extending out the service bays was not something that was known or contemplated back in 2019 when this was all developed. So that was an add. We also looked at how we were going to approach the parking lot, which is a huge area, and some of the codes and changes that have been required with respect to stormwater and how that may or may not impact our budget and our project too. So all of that was taken into account. But a lot of the scope is identical to what was planned, with some twists as as we've talked about.
Any further questions from board members? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
We can now move on to textbook adoption.
Yes, so I would like to welcome up Ms. Margaret Hendrickson, our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, as well as Ms. Colleen Stam, our K-12 District Math Science Coordinator, to the podium. And I will just have both. We are going to also welcome up Ms. Christy Fifield, who is our 612 Literacy and Social Studies Coordinator, as we are going to hear a little bit about AP Physics and Economics potential textbook adoptions. So, Margaret.
Thank you, Dr. Coffin, and thank you, Board of Education. We have been working, as you recognize from Dr. Coffin sharing that we've adopted 17 new instructional materials in the last 3 years, along with additional supplemental resources that have been supporting not just elementary, but middle school and high school. We're very proud of that work, but we also recognize that when new resources come into the system, it means that teachers are using those resources and require the supports. Hence, part of that over 28,000 hours of professional development last year includes us supporting staff as they get used to and use these new resources that we continue to progress monitor. So I'm going to ask, I know they're going to bring up the PowerPoint. I just forgot in the PowerPoint who's first. Physics?
It's AP Physics, yes.
AP Physics. Okay. So Colleen Stam, if you could come up and share with us this big book.
Okay, so our AP Physics class, first we have a point of pride. AP Physics, since I've been in this role for 7 years, has only been at North Farmington. For the first time since I've been here, Farmington is offering AP Physics this year. They had enough students interested in it, so that is a big point of pride for our programs, that we have more students wanting to take this very rigorous AP Physics class. And so this class is very much focused on problem solving. It's the calculus level AP Physics. So they focus a lot on the mathematics and the problems with mathematics. For that reason, they need a text that is full of problems. You will see as this comes around, it is full of problems.
Must be good.
The teachers currently are using a text from the early 2000s. Most of the ones they have are from the year 2000, so it is ready for an update. And there is no digital online learning component, which we know is so important for our students today, especially when they're taking a college level course. So they were looking at this text right here, and the university physics with modern physics, because it does have an online component called Mastering Physics, where students can learn and do problem sets online. It also comes with a study guide and solutions manual so that students have some examples to work through, because as I said, this class is very problem-based. So teachers said this was the best text and are looking forward to working with some updated text with our students.
Any questions for Ms. Stam before we move on to the economics proposal?
No, I like that online component because that's something that the students can do on their own. They're not, all of their preparation isn't teacher dependent, so it supplements and works with the teacher, because the teachers, there's a lot of pressure on these AP teachers, which they do a good job. The students do a good job, but we have students that are really highly motivated, so it's an extra resource. So yeah, I like that. And so do the students get the, I want to go audit the course, but do the students get a textbook, or is it just a classroom set of textbooks?
A classroom set of textbooks, but I believe they have online access within the Mastering Physics
Okay,
program.
with that too, okay. So, yeah, so this is, and so how many years do we generally update our AP
So the
cycle?
Book adoptions, we have each year there's a cycle, and we try to go about 5 years, always drawing into question, should we stay the course and go to a new text? We're trying to get ourselves back into a cycle because we had a time where budgets were what they were and we weren't doing a lot of updates. So we've done some accelerated work over the last few years to get everything updated, and then we'll be starting these review cycles. Generally, about 5 years is the time where you should relook. But if new standards pop up or maybe changes in an AP course, that often happens by the College Board, we have to reconsider whether we might have to adopt something a little bit sooner in order to stay current with any standard changes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I am going to audit the course a bit, just a little bit. Director Stan, what was the selection process for the teachers when they decided on this text? Were there other texts that were considered?
Yes. Yep. So they came up with the two main components that they were looking for, which was the digital piece and the solutions manual, and they looked at the texts that were on the AP recommended list and decided on this text.
Excellent. And if I understood correctly, you said we haven't updated for about 20 years?
20 years?
And one of the pieces that is interesting is our current text is still approved by the College Board. You know, college texts don't get updated as frequently as what we might experience in public education. So we're getting a lot more advanced features and supports for students with an updated resource.
That's just after the 90s. Just so you know.
And I imagine, you know, if you're talking about social studies, you probably should update your text more regularly than, I'm not sure how often. Physics
usually stays.
Now,
Pretty true.
Pretty true, but I mean, the method of instruction is probably quite different. You know, the more project-based learning, the way we teach kids, I'm sure, is evolving and has evolved since 2020. But.
And this is just a resource for students, the textbook.
Thank you.
Any further questions from board members? Anybody want to take the book home?
Ms. Fox said she wanted it.
Thank you for bringing this and showing us. But I don't, this is a lot. And you can come down here and get it. I'm a 60 baby. I ain't touching it.
Thank you very much for this. I mean, obviously, I appreciate that we are updating our materials, and it sounds like there's a need for that. Dr. Blau?
I would just like to say that one of my sons who graduated from Farmington High School in 2019 is currently applying for doctoral programs in theoretical physics. So he'll be really happy I took a picture.
Thank you. So this will be something that comes back to the board to vote on at the next meeting, just so everyone knows.
This is just point of discussion today. Yep.
The next item is the economics new textbook adoption.
I'd like to introduce Christy Fifield. I think they'll bring it up for us. There we go.
Can I move this? That's okay.
Now, this is my kind of book.
This is your kind of book. So some of you may remember last year we brought forth 3 other new social studies texts for the high school required courses. We did world history, U.S. history, and civics. This is the 4th required course resource that we are proposing. It is part of the same series that we have for those other 3 core courses now. And the teachers are actually using those books and liking the online version that book provides. It has a lot of activities online and multiple reading levels, the ability to read aloud, and all sorts of projects. And one of the other things that we are loving is the inquiry journal that goes along with these textbooks, which give real-life primary source type readings or documents or charts or graphs that kids then look at and synthesize all the information they're getting from it, and there's always real-life applications at the end of those. So teachers have been doing some of those many hours of professional learning on going through these things and figuring out how to use them in class together. The other piece of this new economics book is it has, for our slides aren't up there, but our previous book is also about 20-ish years old, and this book has a very nice new chapter that contains the personal finance requirement. So everything is in one resource, and it's updated and new with the online component. And we know it's a tried and true resource because we've been using the other 3 so far. And
That way the online experience will be the same for kids through all those required courses. And for teachers as well, because learning a new online resource is challenging for everybody, mostly for the adults. Kids are pretty good at that.
Any questions, comments, concerns on the economics materials? No?
You just touched on the personal finance, so can you just elaborate a little bit on that? That's a new requirement. Everybody has to have a personal finance course, and so that will meet that requirement?
Yes, so last year we came to the Board of Education around how we were going to approach honoring that new state requirement for personal finance. So when our students take economics, which is already a requirement, because the personal finance is nested inside that course, when they take the 1 semester econ class, they get the 0.5 semester for the econ and the 0.5 for personal finance. We did that in order to create flexibility for our students. So instead of adding another 0.5 to make the Michigan Merit Curriculum 18.5, we maintain that at 18 through that process. So our students have an opportunity to explore all those other elective options like CTE, AP, the arts, music, all of those types of things. So what was great when we looked at this textbook is it not only had the econ, but it also delved in appropriate level to the personal finance. What we should also recognize, though, is that those personal finance standards were already a part of our economics curriculum, and has been longstanding standards. And so that was one way we approached making sure our students, our current incoming ninth graders, are the first group that will get that requirement.
So they were in there, but they're really highlighted and condensed so that we know that we're meeting the standards. And it's one of those things where they get double credit for one course, which, yeah, I learned about that. So that's a good thing. It's a win-win for our students and for the district.
Ms. Williams?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Can I?
Yes, you know what I really like is the fact that page 2 of the financial literacy section, which is all the way in the back, immediately talks about the FAFSA. I really, really like that, putting that front and center, helping kids understand or families understand how to finance college. So, sorry, here, let's bring it back to me.
She in her world, just let her look at the book. I appreciate the financial literacy part for the students because that is so important right now. You have students that have graduated that are like, well, how do I manage and budget and do this, that, and the third? I'm glad that Ms. Weems was able to see the FAFSA in the back and how to take care of FAFSA. Are we doing this in all 3 schools or just?
Yes.
So all 3 of the high schools have?
Yep.
Thank you.
This is good. Thank you. I'm just going to hold on to it for a couple more minutes.
And just as a reminder to the board and the community that those are available at the new administrative building outside of the instructional services office suite so that anyone can come and review any of the proposed resources.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, we will move on to our next agenda topic or next discussion item, which is back to the superintendent search. As a reminder, I'm not going to go through all of what we just talked about before, but I want to highlight for the board that from the committee's perspective, there are really 2 choices. There is the execute a search or appoint someone who is internal to the district. The search offers us an opportunity to receive expert advice from a search firm. They have access to an extensive network of superintendents. We've been through that process before. I will tell you, however, that in discussions with the Michigan Association of School Boards, there are currently 100 superintendent searches going on right now in the state of Michigan. And so that will have an impact on our ability to attract candidates. So just in the education field overall, there's a shrinking pool of candidates in education, especially at the superintendent position. So there's a lot of competitiveness in that.
However, there is an opportunity to perhaps identify an ideal candidate from a search process. In appointing someone internally, I would invite the board to consider the performance that we've experienced over the past few months, particularly the evaluation that we went through, the mid-year evaluation that we went through on October 22nd, and the feedback that we received. The Cobalt survey that we talked about earlier today, where 80% of our community is happy with the service that they're getting from our schools. The recent wellness survey that was conducted by staff, which had an overwhelming response rate. I've never seen anything like that, where you issue a survey to 1,300 people and 950 people respond. That's significant. And the results of that highlight a really good feedback on specifically instructional leadership. And from what I can tell, a basis point is about, I think it was 0.5% or 0.5. In the instructional leadership category, we saw 20%, or 0.20, not 0.05. So that's very significant. I'd also invite you to consider the experience that you've seen in the communications that have been forwarded to you in making that decision. And at this point, I'll stop talking and invite my board members to, share what they might be thinking ahead of potentially taking any action. If there's anyone who'd like to make have some discussion ahead of an action point, and there's no requirement to do so. I'm just opening up the floor for discussion. All right, it looks like, oh, okay. Dr. Turner and then Mrs. Heinrich.
Go ahead.
Oh, you.
Go. You yield.
I called on you, Dr. Turner, first.
You did. Thank you. So these points that I'm going to discuss kind of underscore the value of a comprehensive superintendent search in ensuring the best outcomes for student, staff, and the community, which is what we're charged to do as a board. We have two primary responsibilities. One is to select and hire and retain a superintendent. The second is to accept and set policy for the district. Those are the two things that we actually are charged to do. And we've heard some data points throughout this evening. One of them is that we have about 539 or 537 school districts, public school districts, non-charter school districts in the state. We have about 57 to 59 ISDs or RESAs in the state. We have about 300 charter schools in the state, which when you add that all up, you get close to about 800. And Mrs. Williams is right, there's about 100 vacancies currently that are in some stage of search for a leader in those districts as they were. When I'm thinking about what we have to do as a board, and I've heard Mrs. Williams and the feedback from the Cobalt survey, and it leads toward a certain tilt. However, it creates a juxtaposition between an internal candidate and concluding it with an appointment, and also engaging in a comprehensive search. And there's 6 points that came up, and I'm going to discuss them just briefly as it relates to what's best for the outcomes of our students, our staff, and our community, and to Dr. Coffin's point, driving toward mission, vision, and focus relative to what it is that we want to do. Everything that we do as a board in selecting our superintendent is in order to deliver on those initiatives. So one is ensuring the best fit for the district's needs. And that means a search process could broaden a potential pool of candidates, increasing the likelihood of finding a leader with all of those qualities that we're looking for as a district, and able to deliver on that vision and address the district's unique challenges and goals that we have, right? Second is demonstrating fairness and transparency in what we do in terms of selecting and considering a candidate's talents and the fit for our district. It enables an equitable and open process, allowing for internal and external candidates to be evaluated on merit, which should build trust and confidence among the stakeholders. the parents, the community members, obviously. 3, potentially bringing fresh perspective and innovative solutions to our district, right? External candidates may introduce new ideas, proven strategies, best practices, and the like, as well as our internal candidates may be able to introduce and elaborate on what it is that they're demonstrating, whether in their current role or their interim role. 4, engage community stakeholders, and I think we've done a great job of doing that. That does not fall far from the frame of consideration. You must engage your stakeholders who have put you on this board, and 2, you have selected to bring your students to this district. You have a stake in the comment in terms of what it is that we're going to do in selecting our leaders. Supporting organizational growth and development, and that's really focusing in on what those achievements are for those students that we serve, those parents that entrust us with their students' academic and overall development as they move through our system. Exploring a diverse candidate pool in the district can identify a leader who can hit and foster and growth and promote those collaborative engagements and conversations from an organizational perspective. And lastly, it does give opportunities for internal candidates to compete. And I've had in conversation with Dr. Coffin, and I've talked about that juxtaposition that is inherent in an internal candidate who's holding an interim role, competing with external candidates who do not have the vantage point of that internal seat. In considering that, it does allow us to eliminate, which we haven't talked about much, is that potential for favoritism or an approach towards not looking beyond what we have present. Now, I say all of that to say, not to sound as if though I'm switching lanes, one of the things that an organization is charged to do is attract, retain, develop, and promote its folks. And I'm a huge proponent of advancing internal candidates through the rank and file because they are yours. You've developed these individuals, you trust these individuals, they've time tested in your system. But I'm also a huge proponent around equal opportunities for employment. And I know the disadvantages that individuals face when they do not have an opportunity to display their skills in opportune situations such as this. So we have a decision to make. We have a lot of things to consider. We have a lot of things to consider that are communicated to us through our stakeholders. And at the same time, we want all, hopefully, what's in the best interest of our children as we look at a leader that's going to hit us toward mission, vision, and our focus. So that is what I wanted to include for consideration in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, I'm going to try not to ramble, but I think one of the advantages is back in 2020, there were 4 new board members seated on the board, and we were immediately tasked with appointing an interim superintendent and then doing a national superintendent search. And so those 4 board members, along with our experienced board members, are still here. So we have the experience in the process. And I just, we pulled the profile of a new superintendent. And at that time, Dr. Coffin was an internal candidate and, was not selected as a superintendent and stayed, worked, and has been the goals that we set as far as improvement, setting up standards, student growth. Dr. Coffin has been instrumental in helping move the district with those goals. I mean, she has, all those things are under her academics are under her leadership and the things that we have. We want to find a candidate who's, one of the things that the community wants to find a candidate who will continue the good work of the current administration, but who can make necessary changes. And so I really appreciate Dr. Turner's comments, because all of the qualities that you're looking for and all the advantages of, we have the experience of a national search, and we also know from experience at this time, I mean, this is in November, and so the 3 years that Dr. Delgado was here, he was constantly being recruited. And so what search firms do is they go out and they recruit superintendents that are currently in their district. And so you're asking somebody to leave their district in the middle of the school year. which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, kind of thing. But one of the strengths is Dr. Coffin knows what's working. And one of the questions I asked her, is like, you're going to clean house or you're going to, and I didn't ask it that way. Sometimes I like put my foot in my mouth and walk around, kind of thing. But, do you need see a need for changes? And one of the things that Dr. Coffin identifies is there's things that this district needs to work on. There's areas that need improvement. There's relationships that need to be built and worked on. There's workings within the district. And so having somebody internally that is aware of all the dynamics going on and aware of the needs, I think is good, because when you bring someone in from the outside, it takes 2 to 3 years to really get to know things. And that's what we had. We've had 3 years with the superintendent that put things in place. Do we like the direction that is going, I think is the biggest question. One of my observations is the work that Dr. Coffin has done with, she's in charge of all the administrators in all the buildings, and the teamwork and the collaboration and the feedback that we've had from our building administrators across the district and from our teachers and our teacher leaders, positive feedback and unsolicited letters, and things that we've heard that teachers are excited, teachers that are thinking about retirement are changing their mind because they're excited about the work that we're doing. And so, we want somebody that's transformative, but we also want somebody that takes the needs of all of the leaders and is a good listener, has a good communication style. So I just went through the things that we're looking for: a leader who uses data to inform decision-making process, transparent, honest when making decisions, and the data dashboards that we're coming up with, and the things that are put in place that were shared at our last retreat and we're sharing. That's the direction that the board has asked the school district to go. And I think that under Dr. Coffin's leadership, then the board will continue to go, or the district will go in that direction. And one of the things we want to do is build Farmington, not as President Weems listed all the superintendents we've had in the last, how many years? 12 years, 6 superintendents. And we want to build a reputation that Farmington is a premier school district that attracts and keeps superintendents. And when we are ready for districts, will eventually be ready for another superintendent search, then we're going to have superintendents that really want to come here and really are willing to leave in the middle of the school year or whenever the time comes. So I hope I didn't walk around in my mouth too much with my foot in my mouth, but I just wanted to share some feelings that I had about this.
Thank you for sharing. This is a really important decision. We welcome everybody's feedback into this discussion. Mrs. Smith.
So I understand Dr. Turner, and a lot of what he said does make sense. But I've had the opportunity to work with Dr. Coffin in the past couple of months since she's been in this position. First, let's go back to what Ms. Weems said. I almost called you Dr. Weems. But she made the comment, I've been involved in these superintendent searches. They're grueling, they're expensive, and most of these gentlemen that come in are either retired superintendents or they have been fired. And some of them don't even know, what they're doing half the time. So at the end of the day, we have someone in place right now that during the past administration, she reached out, she had relationships, she valued this community in the school district, she went around, she visited. The cost alone is it's expensive. And we might have to go and table and start over again. And to me, it's kind of a slap in her face because she applied and she was loyal and she stayed. She could have easily said, you know what, they didn't choose me, I will go. We know and we have noticed that superintendents interview well. She has shown what she could do. I've been on this board 8 years, in the community 27, past PTA council president, and worked under some of their leadership behind over here or on this other side. She is the first one that has brought in a strategic plan and involved and included the community. The dynamics and the demographics of this community, we have over 100 different languages because I used to sit on MCMMR. She has the relationship with both mayors now, which we have not had in a while. She has built the bridge with working with and had conversations with, and she didn't do this to interview. This is not an interview. She's also worked with our city council and had a relationship and has a relationship with our city managers and our police department. That's big to me. Extremely big, because we have not had that. She has worked with our state reps. As a matter of fact, for legislation, she has one of the state reps coming in next month to give a legislation report. We have not had that since Bob Maxfield. And I'm dating myself. I'm not a 90s baby. But at the end of the day, this is a young woman that is here for the students. She is here for the staff. She has shown that to me. She has made appointments to sit and talk to each and every one of us every month. So then when we will turn around and, you know, the things that, and I want to say this, I've been offended by some of the emails that have come out. Oh, well, somebody is ruling, and everybody knows you can't tell me what to do. Everybody knows that. I'm that board member that I'm going to make up my own mind, and I'm not going to be pressured. But I feel that we have a person sitting here, and I understand what Dr. Turner is saying. I get it. But if we do this and this young woman leaves after all that she's done, because it's going to take that new superintendent at least 2 years to know not only the community, the staff, and all of us. It would hurt her, I don't want to put emotions and feelings into it, but what are we telling her? And then she leaves, and then what we have. So those are my comments.
Dr. Blau. Yes, I concur with many of the things that my colleagues have already shared, but I still would like to say a few things. As Trustee Smith has pointed out, we have worked very hard as a board, all of us together for 4 years, except for Dr. Turner, you're new to some of us, but the rest of us have, for the past 4 years, worked very hard, been involved in the strategic planning committees, each of us. Some of us are still involved in those committees, many of us are, and together with members of the community who are participating, and teachers who participate in those strategic planning committees. And we have seen the hard work that those committees are doing bear fruit in terms of the directions that the district has been going. With Dr. Coffin as the lead, the district lead in strategic planning and innovation, that work has moved forward in ways that have significantly impacted student learning and student growth. It's a slow process. It's been, over these past 4 years, and I'm so grateful, as an educator, I'm so grateful to us as a board for being able to have the insight and the patience and the trust in the recommendations that we've been getting from Dr. Coffin and her team, and of course Dr. Delgado as well, in terms of what are the best practices and what is the cognitive neuroscience telling us in terms of the science of how the brain learns about what are the best practices, the authentic tasks, the active engagement, the meaning making, all of the things that we are now, over the last few years, putting into place in all of our schools, K through 12. The cohort experiments, at the high school level, the increase in providing CTE opportunities, the current work that you are doing with the cities and the city councils and the mayors, and in terms of looking for opportunities for our students to get out into the community and have internship and apprenticeship experiences as a part of their middle and high school learning experiences. So those pieces, Dr. Coffin, you have been central. You are the hub of that wheel over these past, well, the years that the 7 of us have been on this board, or the 6 of us rather, but before that as well. So as Trustee Smith has pointed out, to get someone else up to speed on all of those pieces and all of those players and all of those programs and all of those personalities and administrators, and you know, the community has said loud and clear, we want stability, we want consistency, we want to continue the work in the direction that it's going. And to my thinking, the best option would be to continue to allow Dr. Coffin to remain in this central role and continue to move the work forward. That, I feel, is our best opportunity to provide our students with the maximum amount of growth from what we've been building these past several years to keep on going. They're also, you know, while I understand, Dr. Turner, about fresh perspectives, the opportunity for fresh perspectives and new ideas, if we were to seek external candidates, that's not what the parent or staff and teacher communities have said to us in the survey data that they're looking for. And Dr. Coffin being involved in several, I don't remember what the names of all of them are, but you're involved in several nationally renowned organizations that deal with innovation and education, and you've been invited to present at these conferences, and you've brought Farmington teachers to these conferences to present. So I feel that Dr. Coffin is already doing this innovative work and already is a person with fresh perspectives. I think we are very fortunate. We've already seen over these past few years, how much you have brought to our students in terms of changes in curriculum and instruction, again, that is based in all the current brain research on how the brain learns best, as well as best practices in the field of education. Just see if there's anything else. You have tremendous expertise in curriculum and instruction, and you've demonstrated both strength and success in implementing new curricula and instructional practices, and in helping provide all of the foundational support that is essential so that you don't just take a textbook and give it to the teacher and say, here, make this happen. We're providing the professional learning communities. We're creating time and opportunities within the school day and PD time for teachers to collaborate and discuss and get the training they need. We are providing the instructional coaches, all of those layers. I've never seen that before. I've been teaching for 39 years. I've never, as an educator, had that level of support and seen such consistency district-wide in the rollout of these new initiatives, and teachers being excited and students being excited about really engaging in these innovative teaching and learning methods. That we're not doing it just because it's innovative. We're doing it because it works well for student learning across all different ability levels and interest levels. So that's my thinking around this.
Mrs. Heinrich.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here thinking, what's different now than 4 years ago? Because 4 years ago, we were tasked with looking for an internal candidate or doing a national search. And Dr. Coffin was new to the district 4 years ago. She was only hired in 2019, I think, under Superintendent Herrera, who was here and left when this board took place. And so as far as knowing Dr. Coffin's attributes or strengths or anything, we've seen the work that she's done for 4 years. And so the difference is having a candidate that the board is familiar with, has seen the work that's done, as opposed to having to look elsewhere and do we have what we're looking for within the district. I think that's a huge factor that was not in place 4 years ago. And President Weems and Ms. Smith and Dr. Turner, I don't know if you were on the board for previous superintendent searches, but I know that you've been through at least two, if not, this is your third one. And so you have that expertise to bring into the field. And I think your experience with the superintendent search and that you had before this board was played into how we went about it. And so every time there's a superintendent search, there's different circumstances. And the circumstances on this search is different than they were 4 years ago. And just the fact that we have somebody that we've known and be able to watch and see the relationships and are those the things that we're looking for in a leader? And will that be able to continue to move the district in the direction that's in line with our value and our missions and our profile of a lifelong learner?
Can I say one more thing? Yes. Dr. Coffin has also, she's been in charge of and leading all of the strategic planning committees, as well as the committee for developing the profile of the lifelong learner, as well as the committee that developed the new mission and vision statement. So Dr. Coffin, again, has been the hub of that wheel throughout all of these innovative and successful curricula and instructional changes that we have made that are powerfully impacting student learning.
I want to thank you all for this very good discussion. I think now is a good time for us to move to our next agenda item, which is public comment. If anyone has public comment at this time, I invite you to fill out a card and place it in the ceramic bowl that is at the end of this desk. The same rules apply as mentioned before, so I won't go into them because I think everyone was here from earlier. We don't have any new people. Thank you. All right, Mr. Francis, I love your color today.
Thank you. I want to start off by saying I like Dr. Coffin, your color as well. Kind of matching tonight.
Mr. Francis, would you mind putting your mic up so that the folks who are watching online can hear you? Thank you.
Yeah, alrighty. Yeah, so good evening, board members. I'm here tonight just to thank Dr. Coffin for meeting with me and my mom the other night. We had a really productive discussion towards what we're looking to see with the district moving forward on building out a new STEM facility. A lot of good ideas were brought up during that meeting, and I'm really excited to see the district reaching out to our team members and our coaches and getting that feedback so that way we can do the most productive work possible and make sure that we're staying on top of this stuff. And I also would really like to thank the board for constantly being supportive of this as well. It is my understanding that without board support, this hasn't been ever brought up in any higher up meeting scenarios. So I'm really thankful for all of that, and I just wanted to say thank you. And then to give a little bit of a team update, we have been doing a lot recently. We just ran 3 RoboCamps on this past Saturday and the Saturday before that for our FAPN students and special education students in the district, including 1832, which is high school and middle school, as well as Visions. And then our FTC teams recently competed at their competitions this past Saturday. One of them, the STEAM robotics team, was very successful. They won one of the more prestigious awards at the competition, which qualified them for the state competition. So we're wishing them the best of luck there. But a lot of good things going on. I just wanted to give that update. And on an unrelated note to robotics, I do want to say that I heard someone mention the asynchronous day earlier tonight, and I just wanted to give my feedback. I, as a student, really enjoyed having that asynchronous day, especially considering that I am in 4 IB classes and 2 AP classes. Right now it's crunch time for all of those IBs with our internal assessments, which takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and having that asynchronous day where we could get all of our questions and whatnot out of the way and then have the rest of the day to work was super valuable. I know it wasn't the favorite for everyone, but as someone who has a very heavy course load, that was one of the most valuable things that I've utilized this school year. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Going once? Going twice? Any other public comment? At this time, public comment then is closed. Doing a temperature check for my board members. Are we good to keep going forward? All right, great. So we're going to move to action items. The first item is related to the annual audit. Mrs. Heinrich.
This item was presented in detail at the October 22nd Board of Education regular meeting. I move that the Board of Education approve the 2023-2024 annual audit report as presented.
Support.
There's been a motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Dr. Turner, to approve the 2023-24 annual audit report as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Says roll call.
No, this is a roll call.
Doesn't need to be. We can do a roll call vote, but it doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not something like we're approving a purchase or something. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next is closed session minutes. Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education approve the October 22nd, 2024 closed session minutes as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to approve the October 22nd, 24 closed session minutes as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have the superintendent search next steps. Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approve Dr. Kelly M. Coffin as the next superintendent of Farmington Public Schools and authorize the Superintendent Evaluation and Succession Planning Committee to begin contract negotiations.
Support.
There's been a motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to approve Dr. Kelly Coffin as the superintendent and authorize the Superintendent Succession Planning Committee to begin contract negotiations. Is there any discussion? This one I do think we need a roll call vote on. If we could have a roll call vote, Mrs. Fox?
Yes. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Turner?
Come back to me, please.
He'd like you to come back to him. If you could go
Oh,
to the
come
next
back
person.
to him.
Yes, please.
Okay, you're making it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Walker?
Is absent.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Dr. Blah?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
President Williams?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Will you go back to Mr. Dr. Turner?
Dr. Turner, I'm so sorry. Dr. Turner? Oh, he's still thinking.
He's thinking. This is a very important decision.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. And so congratulations, Dr. Coffin. You are now our superintendent. This is not a decision that we take lightly at all. A lot of thought went into this. I believe that this, for me, was a vote of not status quo. We are doing so much differently than we've done before. We are innovating. We are a district that is becoming revered for the work that we are doing. This is a vote to continue to be innovative, to continue to move the needle forward, to continue to see the results at a more rapid pace than we've seen before. Change happens slowly, and we are building momentum. This was a vote to continue that momentum. We have confidence in you, and we are very, very happy with the work that you're doing, and we are looking forward to continued results. Personally, I am most proud of the dashboard that you pulled together, that for the first time holds us accountable for what we say we're going to do. And we're going to hold you accountable for what we say we're going to do. Thank you for joining this team.
And thank you for your support and placing your trust in me to lead this amazing district. And as President Weems said, I know each and every one of you hold me accountable in a different way. So that's what I appreciate, because it is us together that makes this work even possible. So I'm honored, I'm privileged to be able to serve such an amazing community, and please know that your trust in me does not, I understand that, what that really means, and I know what the charge is. Okay.
Give us some tissue at the end.
I'll be okay. Show my mic off.
There's some down there, Dr. Blau.
All right, well, let's keep moving here. We will move to items from the treasurer.
All right.
Heinrich?
Yes. I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure printout dated November 19th, 2024 as follows. General Fund, $11,091,950. General Fund Athletics, $252,922. Capital Projects 2020 Bond Fund, $1,237,46. Nutrition Services Fund, $551,179. Benefits Stabilization Fund, $1,606,419, for a total of $14,739,516.
Support.
Thank you. Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Dr. Turner, to approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda. Dr. Turner.
Thank you. I move that the Board of Education approve the November 19th, 2024 consent agenda as follows under Section A, approval of minutes October 22nd, 2024, special meeting, closed session. October 22nd, 2024, regular meeting. November 10th, 2024, Superintendent Evaluation and Succession Planning Committee. November 14th, 2024, Finance and Facilities Committee. November 16th, 2024, Board Retreat. And item B, personnel items.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Turner, supported by Mrs. Smith, to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion is approved. The next item we have are reports from board representatives. Are there any reports from board representatives? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And seconded. We are now adjourned. Thank you.
All right, congratulations.